Rumors were swirling throughout Evergreen City that the heir to a prominent family, Julian, was getting married. But I, his girlfriend, was the only one kept in the dark. I had happily convinced myself he was preparing a surprise for me. Then one day, I happened to glance at his phone's message app. A message from someone named Tiffany popped up. "Julian, I bought a new lace nightgown. Would you like me to wear it for you on our wedding night?" At that moment, I froze. He was really getting married, but I wasn't the bride. On the wedding day, Julian publicly announced that he had finally married his whole world. Meanwhile, I boarded a cruise ship heading to a foreign country, completely leaving the city behind. Later, I heard he spared no expense until he finally tracked me down. When we met again, I was seeing my husband, Ethan, off to work. I turned and met Julian's gaze. He gripped my hand, losing control. "Why did you leave? What does he have that I don't? Money? Power? Or?" I smiled. In his world, I am the only one. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and let us know in the comments where you're listening from. My body ached, too tired to even lift my hands. It had only been half a month since he left for a business trip. Julian was like a starved wolf, practically ripping me apart. Afterward, he gently kissed my forehead. "I still have some work to finish. You should sleep first." Just as I was about to scold him, I heard a message notification on his phone. "Julian, I bought your favorite lace nightgown. Do you want to see me in black or white? How about I wear it for you on our wedding night? You can do whatever you want with me." I looked at the suggestive photo she sent. My heart stopped. The woman was wearing the same lace nightgown as me, and the wall behind her was covered in wedding decorations. That was her and Julian's wedding room. And what about me? What role did I play in this moment? "Why aren't you sleeping yet?" Not tear. At enough? Julian came in, holding a glass of milk. Then he scooped me up from the bed and pulled me onto his lap. With a trembling voice, I pushed the phone towards Julian. "Your future wife is asking which nightgown you prefer, the black one or the white one?" His face instantly darkened. Without a word, he took his phone. "When you're done acting out, go to sleep. I'll pick you up tomorrow for some fun." Watching the door slam shut, the sound of his car driving away faded. I couldn't stop the tears from falling. Before, even if he just went out for a meal with a female employee, he would specifically call to check in with me and even end the dinner early to come back and be with me. But now, silence was his norm, as if I had been quietly erased from his life. Julian and I met at an art exhibition. When we first started dating, many people bet that our relationship wouldn't last more than a week. Back then, I was still an unknown painter, carrying my paintings every day as I rushed between various art exhibitions. He, on the other hand, came from a distinguished family, a prominent figure in Evergreen City's elite circles. With one move, he bought all my paintings, the price astonishing the entire Evergreen City art scene. Even before we were together, my friends warned me. "I heard that heir is quite the playboy, he goes through 5 or 6 girlfriends a month. You need to be careful." Before I could reply, my friend laughed and added, "But he's good to his girlfriends, gives them whatever they want. He's famously generous. No one will dare bully you after this." After hearing my friend's words, I really couldn't develop any good feelings for him. Yet, in the end, I succumbed to his tenderness. Back then, Julian was so busy he barely had time to rest, yet he'd stay up all night just so I could have freshly baked chestnut cakes. Then he'd stand at the school entrance, shouting, "My love, time to wake up and eat." He pursued me like this for a whole year. From show.L to scenic destinations, through sunrises and sunsets, for 7 years, we exchanged vows of eternal love. But now, he was getting married. Not only was I not the bride, I, his girlfriend, was the last to know. I spent the entire day in a daze, and after finishing the commissioned sketch, I just sat blankly in front of my easel. Chapter until came to pick me up, acting as if nothing had happened. "Come on, I heard there's a good restaurant in Greenwood. I'll take you there to eat. Let's go." I wildly pounded my fists all over him. "Go on, go get married." He didn't get angry. Instead, he leaned against the car, looking amused. "You should be done blowing off steam now." His fingers sensually traced my shoulder and neck. The marks from last night were still there. "Arya, no one is a better match for us." He pressed closer, pinning me against the wall, our eyes locking. "Our feelings for each other won't change because of other factors, right? I'm just getting married, but my love for you won't diminish in the slightest." But seeing that I had no intention of calming down, Julian's patience wore thin. He gripped my wrist tightly in his hand. "Arya, you need to understand. In my position, there are too many things I can't control." Tears blurred my vision. Did his lack of control have to come at my expense, by hurting me? Seeing me cry so sadly, his demeanor softened a bit. Arya, sometimes love and responsibility can be separated. Isn't it enough for you to just know how much I love you? I looked up, utterly broken, and let out a cold snort. So? You love me, and I'm supposed to accept you marrying someone else? His gaze darkened for a moment, then he gave an indifferent smile. It seems I haven't been clear enough. What I mean is, I'll be with you for life. Everything I promised you before, I'll fulfill. But you have to allow me to get married first. With that, he even shrugged, as if in his eyes, being his lover for life was some kind of honor. Without why. Waiting for my answer, he leaned in, his cool lips brushing my ear as he whispered languidly, Arya, aren't the artists in your circle like this too? The more talented they are, the more unrestrained and free-spirited they become, pursuing personal freedom. Isn't our current situation perfectly in line with your style? Furious, I slapped him without hesitation. I was Bayview City's youngest painter. Every painting sold by my hand fetched a high price. But my dreams, my innate artistic talent, were reduced in his words to a mere standard for judging someone's character. Arya, don't be so ungrateful. He forcefully pushed me into the car. He ignored all my protests, no matter how much I screamed. It wasn't until the car stopped in front of an upscale mall that he carried my exhausted body into a lingerie boutique. Which one looks good? It was a lace nightgown, similar to the one from last night. He picked one out for me himself, then handed another color to the sales associate. Wrap this up and have it delivered to this address. Every move he made felt like a freshly quenched steel blade, piercing my chest little by little, as if he wouldn't stop until he carved out my very lifeblood. Unable to bear it any longer, I ripped the garment to shreds and stormed out of that suffocating place. He forcefully pulled me back from behind. Arya, how long are you going to act out? You'll have to get used to it, won't you? I laughed, an absurd sound. Get used to sharing my lover with another woman? But this isn't feudal times anymore. How could I ever let myself be a secret lover hidden in the shadows? I locked myself in my art studio, foolishly hoping to temporarily escape reality this way. But quickly found my workplace, bringing Julian's mother, Eleanor, with her. Ms. Arya, I always knew my son had a girlfriend outside our family. But frankly, given your background, you're simply not worthy of my son. You probably don't know this, but Tiffany has been waiting for Julian for 10 years. If you hadn't interfered, they would have been married long ago. I advise you to be sensible and give Julian back to Tiffany, Mrs. Eleanor demanded, as if it were her right. Both women were aggressive. Their aggressive attitude made many guests at the art studio stop and stare. I opened my mouth, but before I could speak, I heard Tiffany make another demand. If you still love Julian, you should understand his difficulties. The company was facing financial difficulties, and if he can successfully marry, this problem will be resolved. As long as you willingly break up with him and cooperate with my people to take some photos of an alleged affair, I can give you $1 million in compensation. After all, you did put your heart into being with him for a while. Don't worry, nothing will really happen to you. It's just to show him the photos and make him completely give up on you. After all, you're too much of a temptation for him. Tiffany slightly raised her chin. She looked down at me haughtily, and even very thoughtfully considered everything for me, as if certain I wouldn't refuse such a tempting offer. I lowered my head and gave a bitter laugh, unsure if that last sentence was meant as a compliment. I painfully suppressed my tears and calmly smiled. Of course I'll dump him, but I won't cooperate with you in shaming myself and ruining my reputation. If you want the scoundrel, then keep him on a tight leash. Don't let him run around biting people all day. Tiffany's eyes snapped open. Furious, she pointed at me, speechless for a long moment. So you're refusing me? I raised an eyebrow, as if it were obvious. Of course. Since things didn't go as planned, Tiffany naturally wouldn't give up. The very next morning, I received a grand gift from Tiffany. You wanted reputation, didn't you? I hope Ms. Arya enjoys my little present. No sooner had the call ended than reporters, seemingly from nowhere, swarmed in front of me. Ms. Arya, is it true that you have a promiscuous reputation, refusing no one? We also heard that Mr. Julian was coaxed by you into becoming one of your conquests. So, do you really enjoy being a mistress? I was so angry I wanted to laugh. Only someone like Tiffany could twist the truth like this. Cornered by microphones at my art studio entrance, I had nowhere to retreat. And it was precisely because of my influence that the internet launched a strong attack on the industry's ethical issues. President sought me out, his face full of difficulty. Even though he knew there were other hidden circumstances, for the sake of the art's future, He decided to permanently close my art studio and revoke my professional license. And I was prohibited from publicly selling my paintings. My future was completely destroyed. Embarrassed and defeated, I returned home. As I stepped out of the elevator, I saw the corridor in disarray, maliciously strewn with dead mice and obscene advertisements. And my mother was the one behind it all. Thank you, viewers, for your donations. For every substantial donation, she'd do something outrageous like throwing a dead mouse. Let's send all mistresses in this world to hell and bring clarity back to every family. At that moment, I felt as if I'd been plunged into an ice cell. What are you doing? I asked, stunned. Seeing me return, she shamelessly aimed the camera at my face. Everyone, look. This is that shameless, stinking mistress. I instinctively recoiled from the camera. Quickly, I snatched her phone and smashed it against the wall. She frantically grabbed my hair and slapped me hard. You did something shameful, and you still dare to tell me what to do. You lost your job, and I can't even earn some money? I leaned against the wall, despairing. Tears silently streamed down my face. You have the nerve to cry? I haven't cried even after you disgraced me completely. What do you have to cry about? A shameless mistress like you doesn't deserve to be my daughter. She pu. Led an agreement from her handbag and threw it at me. Sign these dissolution papers quickly. I don't want to be shamed publicly later, called the mother of a mistress. I was utterly disappointed. With trembling hands, I signed my name. At this point, I had nothing left. The live stream farce ended. The house was eerily silent. Looking at the cruel rumors and gossip online about me, it was as if I had been nailed to a pillar of shame. Everyone who passed by cursed me. Shameless mistress, may you die a terrible death. Julian called me countless times. Aria, internet trends fade quickly. Just bear with it, and it will pass. Try not to go out during this time, I'll have necessities delivered to you. Listening to his calm voice on the other end, I scoffed at myself and pinched my arm to stay clear-headed. Was this the man I had loved with all my being? Go to hell, Julian. I turned off my phone. I turned on my computer's webcam and applied for a live streaming account on a streaming platform. Regarding the recent online rumors, I will make the following points in response. Mr. Julian and I officially began our relationship 5 years ago. As for his impending marriage to Ms. Tiffany, I was completely unaware of it until recently. I was unknowingly being a mistress. For the truth, you can check the youth artist competition portfolio from 5 years ago. The netizen speed was beyond imagination. They quickly dug out the winning artwork from that year, which had a 3-word love note written to me by him. Overnight, public opinion on the internet reversed, pushing Tiffany and Julian into an abyss of criticism. The marriage alliance between the Joe and Tiffany's family faced severe problems. The financial chain was broken, and Julian was furious. After realizing he'd been blocked, he quickly came to my house. A deluge of accusations followed. Aria, Tiffany is very angry. If you don't stop now, your father's gravesite will be made public. Apologize publicly. Oh. NCE she gets what she wants, she won't bother you anymore. I was completely stunned. He always knew that the only important person to me in this life was my father. For my father's peace, I had no choice but to yield. Tiffany's family spent a fortune bringing in hundreds of media outlets for the press conference. I stood lifelessly in front of the microphone. Several reporters below the stage quietly encouraged me. Don't be afraid. Speak the truth boldly. We support you. I pulled at the corner of my mouth, a bitter smile. I apologize for taking up your valuable time. The recent live stream. It was all a self-directed act from beginning to end. It was my own vile nature that led me to frame Ms. Tiffany. And as for Mr. Julian, it was pure slander, all my fault. With every word I uttered, my heart bled a little more. Julian took the microphone at an opportune moment and had staff bring out a painting. I instinctively rushed forward but was blocked by several bodyguards below the stage. Given Aria's misunderstanding from some time ago, I have paid a hefty sum to buy back that painting from that year. The 3-word love note was just a phrase of praise I casually copied online at the time, which led to such a huge misunderstanding and commotion. To bring peace of mind to my fiancé, I've decided to burn this painting here and now. My spontaneous protest was harshly muffled by a hand over my mouth, preventing any sound. That token of our love from that year had now become my sole delusion. The blinding flames almost seared my eyes. I was secretly sent back to my apartment. The door was maliciously covered with malicious symbols. Julian tiredly opened the door with his key. He habitually sat down beside me and put his arm around my shoulders. Move into my place tomorrow. It's peaceful there. The deed will be in your name. Consider it compensation for not being able to marry you. Once I'm married to Tiffany, I'll move in with you. He affectionately buried his he D in the crook of my neck. As if nothing had happened, he kissed the corner of my mouth. I've been so tired lately. Let's just get some good sleep together. I calmly pulled away from his embrace. Don't you think you're being a bastard? Julian gave a self-deprecating laugh. Haven't I always been a bastard? He soothingly patted my head. Don't think about leaving me, Arya. You can't leave me. He stood up, grabbed his car keys and headed out the door. Wait patiently at home. I'll go buy you something good to eat. After he left, I slowly stood up, packed my bags, and after getting everything ready, I tripped over a rock thrown at the door and fell to the ground. A tearing pain in my lower abdomen left me momentarily disoriented. Watching the blood slowly trickle and spread on the floor, my vision gradually blurred. I converted the house Julian gave me into cash. Then I took all the paintings about him from the study to the incineration, along with all the things he had given me, burning them all to ashes. I bought a cruise ticket to nowhere, cleanly bidding farewell to my past. 2 years later, I received an email from him with an oil painting attached. I've tried my best to replicate it, but I still can't achieve the effect you did back then. Will you come back and help me? I really miss you. I calmly clicked delete and added him to my blacklist. But when I finished with the art exhibition and returned to the lounge, an unknown number unexpectedly called my phone. I hesitated to answer, but when I did, a familiar voice came through. Arya, I will definitely come find you. His sickening declaration of love made me instinctively hang up the phone, disgusted, my skin crawling with goosebumps. Julian, having waited a long time for a reply, slumped despondently in his office chair. Tiffany, her heels clicking rapidly, burst into the office and, without hesitation, splashed a cup of coffee on Julian's face. Julian, are you having an affair right in front of me? Tiffany's voice was so loud that almost everyone in the staff area looked in, and Julian's dignity was severely bruised. He stood up, enraged. If you hadn't pushed me so hard back then, how would it have come to this? Julian unleashed almost all the anger he had suppressed. Tiffany laughed, fueled by anger. What good is your anger? Don't forget, you're already married to me. And don't even think about divorce. I'm telling you, as long as Tiffany's family doesn't give their consent, you will always be my husband, Julian. He sank weakly onto the sofa, finally understanding the bitter taste of shooting himself in the foot. From that day on, Tiffany had him closely monitored, not allowing him any opportunity to contact the outside world. He returned, dazed, to that small apartment he once lived in. Seeing the familiar layout, he finally felt a sense of relief. But when he pushed open the study door, full of anticipation, he didn't see the paintings as usual. There was only white canvas covering the floor and overturned paints. All the paintings related to him were gone. He drank alcohol all night in that study. It seemed only then could he, in a daze, see the person he yearned for day and night. He realized that an emptied heart felt this painful. So he frantically cut off all of Tiffany's family's businesses and collaborations, completely breaking ties without regard for Tiffany's reputation. Mrs. Eleanor finally intervened, deciding to end the farce, compensating Tiffany's family with more than half of their family assets. Only then did he escape this marriage that had tormented him for nearly 3 years. Years later, I never expected to reunite with Julian on the streets of a foreign country. At that moment, I had just arrived at the preschool entrance, when I saw my daughter, Lily, talking to a tall man. How about Uncle takes you and your mom to Disneyland another day? Your loves cute things the most. Seeing my daughter nod, I immediately rushed over and yuled her into my arms. Seeing my appearance, Julian's eyes brimmed with deep longing. Arya, I'm divorced. That was the first thing he said. Compared to the spirited man he was years ago, he now looked like a withered flower, barely clinging to life with lingering affections. I couldn't guess his intention in telling me this now. I had been far removed from their lives for a long time. I simply didn't care what state he was in now. I took Lily's hand and coldly walked past him. Lily, if you meet a strange bad man in the future, don't just talk to him, okay? He might trick you and make Mom sad. Lily nodded fearfully, her gaze towards Julian no longer as eager as before. Julian's limbs stiffened, and he followed. Watching me lead Lily into a cake shop, he followed us inside and even paid before I could. Just as he was about to shamelessly seek my praise, he heard Lily say to him, "Bad man, are you going to steal my dad's birthday cake too?" The child's words stunned Julian for a long time. He knelt down blankly, looking at Lily at eye level. "You have a dad? But aren't I your dad?" He lowered his head in disappointment. Lily hid nervously behind my legs. Her small hand tightly gripped my pant leg. I quickly picked her up and soothingly stroked her head. Mr. Julian, you're free to come here, I have no right to control you. But please watch your words and actions. Lily is my treasure, and I will never allow any malice to approach her. And please do your research. Don't cause trouble for my family again, especially since your wife has too many dirty tricks. I turned and left the cake shop, holding Lily. Julian hurried after me, blurting out an apology. I know we had a child, Arya, I'm sorry. His eyes were bloodshot, filled with overwhelming remorse for me. Hearing him mention that child, my mind momentarily drifted, before I could react. My hand felt lighter, and I looked up to see someone had taken the weight from me. He skillfully took the things from my hand, then picked up the child and kissed the corner of my mouth. Sorry, Lily, Dad got off work late today. How about I take you for ice cream tomorrow as an apology? Julian witnessed it all, speechless. That child. He had always been a scar in my heart. I don't deny that he was conceived out of love. But his timing was just too perfect, exactly on the day Julian stopped loving me. 3 years ago, I had a miscarriage and was hospitalized. That's when I received a call from my former mentor, who had been studying abroad. He cordially invited me to continue my studies with him. At that time, I was suffering both mentally and physically, and all I wanted was to escape and heal. But that unborn child, no one knew he had existed. Even his departure was so quiet. And, perhaps, was God's compassionate blessing to me. In my first year abroad, due to my unstable mental state, I often wandered aimlessly through the streets, finding my way to the gravesite where a small urn was placed. It was the best gravesite I could buy with the money from Julian's house, and fresh fruit was placed on the grave daily. At that time, Lily was still a street child, who would come punctually every day to steal the offered fruit. When I caught her, she only dared to shiver and beg for my forgiveness. Her eyes, so bright and shining, simply stared at me. From that day on, I had a child by my side. Perhaps this was the gift from that child. As for this uncle who often appeared at the preschool entrance, Lily gradually transitioned from fear to curiosity after realizing he wouldn't harm her. Julian was skilled at winning people over, and within just a few days, he had bonded with Lily. The little girl even proactively suggested to me that she wanted to invite him over for dinner. Of course, I flatly refused, but seeing Lily's crestfallen little face, I felt a pang of unwillingness. Knowing she was adopted, Lily was always extra careful to observe my emotions, rarely expressing her true feelings. Julia inopportunely broke the awkward silence, proactively suggesting he take Lily out to eat. Seeing the little girl so uncharacteristically eager for something, I could only nod in agreement. Lily played wildly all day and, upon returning, fell asleep draped over Julian. Haven't you already found out that Lily isn't your child? On the empty street, my words clearly reached his ears. Julian turned his head to look at the child sleeping soundly in his arms. But she's your child. His current love for all connected to me touched a chord within me. But that child, back then, was yours. Seeing him dote on Lily so much, I suddenly thought that if that child had still been alive, things might not be as peaceful as they are now. Julian, 3 years ago, would have only thought that was my tool to force him. Don't you remember? That child, you killed with your own hands. I deliberately lowered my voice, afraid Lily would wake up and sense the heavy atmosphere. Julian's dry throat worked. Arya, do you hate me very much? I interrupted him without hesitation. Yes, I do. Without you, my life wouldn't have been thrown into such chaos. Julian's breathing grew heavy. I'm sorry. I silently accepted the apology on behalf of the child. He awkwardly looked up and carefully placed the child in the back seat of the car. Is that man good to you? No one knew how much pain was in his heart when he asked that question. Very good. With him, I've experienced warmth and respect I never had before. What I've always sought is such a simple life, not to be embroiled in disputes where my privacy is completely exposed. I nodded affirmingly. Meeting Jean was the second most fortunate thing that happened since I came to this country. The first was that he adopted Lily. Seeing me smile so unreservedly, he closed his eyes in anguish. So, if I'm here, will it affect your happiness? It was the first time I had seen Julian plead so humbly and indirectly, just to stay by my side. Of course, I knew his intention in doing this. I also knew why he was trying to ingratiate himself with Lily so frequently. He was waiting for me to come back. But all the love I had given him in the past had only brought me scars and a ruined career. Julian, your very presence is the biggest obstacle for me. Go back to your world. Let's not meet again. After returning home, eating the meal Sue made for me, I had never felt so content. When woke up and couldn't find Julian, her face showed disappointment, but she didn't cry. That night, when she went to bed, she snuggled into my arms. Mom, the bad man left. Are you a little happier now? I paused, surprised. I didn't realize this child was so emotionally sensitive. Her tiny hand touched my stomach, and she gently blew on it. The bad man told me today that the long scar on your tummy is from him. It must have hurt a lot, right? Then the bad man won't be Lily's friend anymore. I won't be friends with anyone who hurts Mom. Tears welled up in the little girl's eyes instantly. I playfully pinched her tiny nose, amused. Little rascal, it's not entirely the bad man's fault. You can still be good friends with him. This scar used to hurt a lot, because besides the bad man, there were other closer people who hurt Mom. But since the day I met Lily, this scar hasn't hurt anymore. Because came to protect Mom. The little girl triumphantly wiggled her imaginary tail and burrowed obediently into my arms. Then as Mom's guardian angel. I wasn't surprised at all to see Tiffany at the art exhibition I was hosting. After all, Julian would be there, and Tiffany would definitely come too. She was as overbearing as ever. Pointing at the child beside me, she launched into a barrage of questions. Just for secretly having Julian's child, I can make you lose your reputation again. Why do you keep taking people away from me, time and time again? The same old trick made me involuntarily smile. After watching my assistant take the child away, I LLY had the inclination to scrutinize the woman who had once driven me to rock bottom. Did I take him away? You just didn't keep your man on a tight enough leash, which is why he ran wild. Is this the only trick Miss Tiffany knows? Aren't you afraid I'll expose the truth from back then and ruin your reputation? Tiffany proudly raised her eyebrows. How could you possibly have that ability? You're just someone who only knows how to paint. With no power, no influence, and a child, you can't beat me. She proudly lifted her head, just as she had when she forced me to break up with him. But the next second, her expression froze. Hordes of media swarmed in. Sue, dressed in a well-tailored suit, walked up to Tiffany and extended his right hand. Hello, Ms. Tiffany. Given your defamation against my wife 3 years ago, I am now initiating a lawsuit against you on behalf of my client. No one expected a perfectly good art exhibition to turn into a confrontation. Tiffany's eyes darkened, and her face turned pale. Aria, what right do you have to sue me? Just because of your husband, the lawyer? Soon, someone behind her scoffed. It's truly rare these days to hear someone joke about Mr. Sue's identity. Seeing me grinning so widely, Sue helplessly rubbed my head. You torment me every single day. Go home tonight and drink your chicken soup. You just recovered from a cold, and you're not wearing enough clothes. I nodded obediently. Then, as if fearing peace, I wrapped my arms around Sue's. Ms. Tiffany, going to court with my husband will be very expensive, 3 years. Sue and I had collected a lot of evidence of Tiffany's family's illegal activities. All for the day when I could clear my name for the helplessness I felt back then. I submitted all the collected evidence to the court. I took a red-eye flight back home just to witness Tiffany's family's downfall. Eleanor even asked to meet me, hoping I could ease the terms. If I dropped the lawsuit, she and Tiffany's family would give me $10 million in compensation. You and Julian did have a past. Why damage the reputation of all our families? You don't know how much Julian has suffered these past few days. For the sake of the love you once shared, please let Tiffany off the hook. She is Julian's ex-wife, after all. If it weren't for her during those 3 years, Julian would have collapsed long ago. I smiled and pushed the card back. Mrs. Eleanor, have you forgotten that you also played a significant role in this back then? Don't worry, I'll pay you all back, one by one. Her face changed dramatically. Her finger trembled as she pointed at me, her eyes filled with disappointment. How could Julian have fallen for such a venomous woman like you? Do you truly wish to see Julian condemned by everyone before you're satisfied? I tilted my head silently. Why not? Tiffany's family went bankrupt. It happened overnight. Seizing this opportunity, I released the audio recording of the threats from back then. In an instant, a wave of condemnation erupted online. What kind of man is this? He's so utterly useless he has to sell out his own girlfriend. Excuse me? If your family is broke, what does that have to do with your girlfriend? I agree with the person above. I totally get what it's like to be forced into being a mistress. When there's no real truth, you're just speechless, completely unable to defend yourself. Gossip is terrifying. I can't imagine how that poor girl got through it back then. My heart aches for her. Beyond the condemnation of Julian, the inactive man, even more netizens furiously slammed the family corporation that used its power to oppress people. They exposed Tiffany's family's hypocritical true colors by displaying a long list of illegal records. More and more people uncovered the dark truth about Tiffany's family's factories. There of workers, leading to multiple deaths from overwork annually. Public sentiment was furious. Many people went to Tiffany's family's company building and started holding protest signs. Unscrupulous company. It should shut down. The real truth won't stay buried forever. For 3 years, I constantly improved myself, also I wouldn't repeat the same mistakes as before. It wasn't until the moment I saw Tiffany sentenced for her crimes that I truly felt alive again. Everything had settled. The association in Bayview City re-extended an invitation, asking me to become a member, and lifted the indefinite suspension of my art studio. Watching the business license I once treasured so much return to my hands, I sighed for a long time but still declined President's invitation. David understood and didn't insist. He simply issued an immediate announcement, restoring my reputation. After all that was done, all I wanted was to return home and sleep soundly with my child. But called me again, saying Julian was missing. Please, I'm sorry for everything I've done to you. But you know him best. Please, I beg you to help me find him. Hearing her mention it, I realized I hadn't seen him since. I hadn't even seen him at Tiffany's family's court trial. With a hesitant mind, I returned to that old apartment. As soon as I stepped into the stairwell, I was choked by a strong smell of smoke several times. He quickly put out his cigarette, standing obediently in the stairwell like a child who had done something wrong. I stood silently, confronting him for a long time. Yuri's been looking for you for a long time. You should go home now. As soon as I finished speaking, I intended to leave, but he pulled me back. His eyes were dark with exhaustion, and stubble had sprouted under his lip. I've collected all your paintings, but unfortunately, there isn't a single portrait of you among them. I frowned deeply and instinctively snapped at him, are you crazy? He shook his head, a wry smile on his face. You once said that every artist has a muse in their heart, and the one most frequently painted is surely someone very important to the artist. That back then was filled with my portraits. He pointed to the now empty room, then carefully showed me the painting he held. His clothes still had wet paint on them. I know my paintings aren't as good as yours. So, could you give me another chance to be your exclusive model? During my senior year of college, it was the first time I participated in a young artist's competition. I often had headaches from not finding inspiration. But it wasn't until I started dating Julian that my paintbrush found its soul. On the day of the finals, I invited him to be my model and painted a portrait. That day also marked a significant change in my life. But now, that painting is gone. I crossed my arms sarcastically. If my husband knew there was a man so eager to be my model, he'd be jealous. But I forgot, Mr. Julian doesn't seem to have much of a moral compass when it comes to the topic of being a mistress. Julian's lips thinned. I realized it too late, Arya. Back then, I naively thought love was just about being together. But I forgot the premise of love is commitment and responsibility. I chuckled and applauded. So, are you applying to be my lover now? Julian's eyes were lost. But after a moment's thought, a faint light appeared in his eyes, revealing a hint of longing. I ridiculously took a few steps back. Arya, as long as I can stay by your side, I can do anything. He spoke with difficulty, as if the words were hard to utter. But I was genuinely disgusted, almost gagging. You might be willing, but I'm not. Julian, it's impossible for us now. I turned and left decisively. Under the dim streetlights, my husband was waiting for me, a gentle smile on his face. Done? It's over. I eagerly nestled into Sue's embrace, comfortably nuzzling against his chest. Let's go home. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your perspectives. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.